Hi guys, a very good morning and welcome to Opening Bell with me, Stacy Pereira. I'm here to take you through all those news and cues that's going to impact your trading day and the stocks that you need to be keeping on your radar, as well as the strategies you could be adopting in this volatile yet higher highs kind of market situation. Let me quickly give you a recap then of what went by yesterday. Well, markets did fail to hold on to those record high levels that we hit intraday, closing in the red. We did see largely that the financials that really slipped, and of course the IT stocks were the biggest pain point, at least in yesterday's trade. This perhaps on the back of that rate decision expectations from the FOMC that has kicked off, that will be kicking off today. And it's looking slimmer that the US Fed is going to be cutting rates anytime soon. Maybe perhaps only in the September meeting is when we get to hear about rate cut. But in focus will of course be these IT stocks, because yesterday about 4 out of the 5 top Nifty losers were from the IT pack. The Infosys, Tech Mahindra, LTI, all of those really taking a drubbing. But also you have a whole host of stocks from Andhra Pradesh that are really propping up right now, and this perhaps you're going to see the Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu swearing in ceremony tomorrow. But all of those stocks that have something to do with the TDP or have members from there as promoters or otherwise are seeing some good run up, at least that we've seen right from elections till now. So we're going to be discussing that and more with our experts on the show. But before that, let me take you through all the top headlines. The new Modi cabinet sticks to status quo when it comes to the top 4 posts. Amit Shah retains Home Ministry, Rajnath retains Defence, Nirmala Sitharaman continues as the Finance Minister, while S. Jaishankar will be the External Affairs Minister. Former BJP chief as well as Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Manohar Lal Khattar, these are the CMs, have also been inducted into the cabinet. Shivraj will be in charge of the Agriculture Ministry, while Khattar gets the power portfolio. BJP President JP Nadda is going to be the new Health Minister. Well, the new NDA cabinet is also meeting for the first time and expands that portfolio. The affordable housing scheme has given its approval for financial assistance to construct about 3 crore more houses in urban as well as rural India. And the S&P 500 and Nasdaq have closed at record highs, led by continuing rally from Nvidia. The US Fed meet will also get underway today, with a status quo decision expected on Wednesday. Stocks in the Asia Pacific region, though, are trading mixed, while the GIFT Nifty is suggesting a higher start for the Indian equity market. And crude prices have surged. Brent has risen above that $81 a barrel on expectations of an impending supply deficit. Gold, on the other hand, remains quite range bound around $2,300 an ounce ahead of that Fed decision. And Apple reveals a major shift towards AI, announcing a series of generative artificial intelligence products at its annual developers conference. A feature is introduced increases Siri with integrated ChatGPT, as well as a new update for its Vision Pro virtual reality set. Elon Musk, though, has lashed out that OpenAI and Apple partnership and says that the threat to data security will make him ban iPhones at his company. On your clocks there, just about 8.5 minutes till we know how the market and what direction it's really headed. But it looks like we're quite propped up, maybe to see some bit of consolidation or range-bound trade. At least that's the word on the street, because we've touched those higher highs but not able to really sustain above those 23,300 levels. So it is going to be interesting to see where we find that support, as well as what could be our next resistance for that point. But let me also take you through a couple of F&O cues that you need to keep your eye out for. If you look at the Nifty call option data, the weekly option data suggests that 23,500 strike is the one with the maximum open interest this time, with about 1.06 crore combined open interest or maximum call interest contracts that were put on that. But as you look at the put side, and there the maximum open interest was seen at the 23,000 strike with about 80 lakh contracts. So if you look at the put call ratio then, which pretty much indicates that mood of the market, that has improved quite moderately and is now around 0.84, those levels. Now remember, any PCR above 0.7 or even surpassing 1 like what it has been generally indicates that bullish sentiment in the market. As for the stocks in the F&O ban, well, stocks that remain in this F&O ban list according to NSE is India Cement. There's also Balrampur Chini, SAIL, as well as Zee Entertainment Limited. So those are the 4 stocks that will be in the F&O ban for June 11th. Now, if you look at the FII and DI and where the monies are really coming in, well, we are starting to see those inflows. So FIIs have net bought about 2,572.38 crore worth of equity shares on June 10th, whereas DIIs did an equal amount of buying with 2,764.46 crore worth of equity shares that were bought in the cash markets, we could say. Well, let's also get discussing how one should be really looking at the charts as well as the strategy we could be adopting at this time. Of course, the biggest event that we were looking forward to, the elections, the outcome, the post the kind of way the market reacted to the election outcome, and the days beyond that, where we saw that rally yesterday, of course, snapping that 3-day rally as well. But markets still seem to have that positive bias, we could say, but maybe it's losing out on that momentum. Let me bring on board then my guest, Aamar Deo Singh, is joining me now. Aamar, do you agree that maybe there is some bit of fizzling out of that momentum that we are seeing, and what could then perhaps be the next trigger, you think, for the markets now that we also have that portfolio allocation out of the way? Is it the budget?
Yeah, I would say markets are always forward-looking in the sense that they would want to see as to what's actually happening. So there are a couple of events, as you rightly said. One is the US Fed meeting, but I think there it's more of expectations that rate cut isn't going to happen anytime soon, given the strong US jobs data. And secondly, budget, yeah, definitely that is an expectation, but I think markets have to a certain extent factored in because we have not seen any change in the top 4 portfolios which you mentioned earlier. So that reflects that the momentum, the pace and the direction and the priorities of the government to a certain extent could change because now it's a coalition government. But overall, markets are not that much concerned as is. Having said that, if you look at the Indian markets, the benchmark indices, definitely the upward trajectory is there intact. But we are seeing some sort of consolidation on the upside. 23,400, that's a 23,300, 400, that's a zone of resistance. On the downside, 22,800, that's a zone of support. So more or less, we will witness some consolidation with a positive bias till the time we don't witness some major negative cues from global markets or maybe crude oil prices inching higher and staying higher.
Right. In fact, I'm also going to be talking about a couple of stocks, and let me, since that block deal, window opens at this point, there is buzz that there is quite a few stocks that are going to see, trade hands in this period. Now, one that we're getting to hear of is Indigo. Now, this we are given to understand that the Bhatia family unit in their capacity in Interglobe Enterprise is looking to sell about 2% stake, and this could happen via block deals. This is somewhere about 77 lakh shares that is looking to be trading hands, and this deal could be anywhere close to 3,293 crore rupees. Now, this, if you take the base price of 4,266 per share, which is coming at a discount, one would say, of about 7% to the current market price of where Interglobe Aviation, or Indigo as we know it, is trading currently. So that's perhaps something that is likely to see this stock also react to this action. There's also IRB Infra, where we are given to understand that Sintra is looking to sell up to a 5% stake in its holding capacity there. They are this could be in a price range of about 63 to 70 rupees per share, and this is a deal of course is coming at a discount at about 10% to the current market price. So we'll have to see how the street really reacts to this. Of course, there is a lock-in period of 150 days, and on that, further sale, if required, could be done. But Sintra currently holds about 24.86% stake in IRB Infra as of the end of Q4. So that will be an interesting block to see, and how much they actually go on to sell, because this is quite coming at a discount of 10% firstly, and also looking to sell close to 5% stake. Another interesting block deal that we are getting to hear from sources from our sister network is that from Honasa Consumers. Now this, we are given to understand that Fireside Ventures as well as Sofina Ventures are the two that are looking to pair about 2% stake, and this could be worth somewhere close to 273.2 crore rupees. This of course is also at a floor price of about 421.3 per share, which is also somewhere where Honasa is trading at currently. Well, it will be interesting to see, Amar, quickly, from these three and the trade that we are looking at today, do you think it's interesting play, especially what we are seeing with the aviation whole, how that industry is moving? There is a new aviation minister in place as well, Interglobe Aviation. How are the charts looking for this one?
I would say that, aviation as an industry definitely has a very bright future in India. But at the same time, it's the input costs that matter. So crude oil prices play a very important role there. But having said that, Indigo continues to be in a very strong uptrend on the long-term charts, intermediate-term trend. Short-term, we are witnessing some sort of consolidation. So I would say on the downside, 3,800, 4,000, that's a zone of very, very important support level. If that is breached, then we could witness some trend change. Otherwise, I would say the uptrend remains intact, and any pullback is a buying opportunity in Indigo.
Right. So any pullback would be a good opportunity to look at Indigo. Well, also let's, get your view quickly, because we just have about 1 minute and we didn't get the kind of levels one should be looking at for the bank Nifty. That one is also trading around, now hovering around this 50,000 levels. We did touch that yesterday and we are back again down. What are the levels that you're looking at for the bank Nifty, Amar?
So if I look at bank Nifty, somewhere or the other, bank Nifty has got strong support coming around the 49,200, 49,300 zone. Whereas on the upside, bank Nifty has resistance around the 50,300 level. So these are the levels to watch out for.
Quite interesting. So there you can, track those levels there. We are hitting opening, and like we had mentioned, it could be, mixed bit of start that we are seeing, a muted side though at this point. Gift Nifty was also indicating a rather flat start, but there we are at 23,250 odd levels that we are, where we close pretty much there only. So very flat start for at least the benchmarks, we could say. Even the sensex, they're just about 90 odd points lower that it's gone. So 76,400 levels is where the sensex is trading, but the Nifty also very rather muted start, we would say, at this point. Let's look at the broader indices, because that one's quite interesting. Yesterday also they tried to have whole ground, because that's where we saw some bit of green yesterday. So the mid cap index again holding out about 0.2%. So you have the positive coming there from the mid and small cap. Small cap, BSE small cap, they're almost close to 0.5% of gains, almost 240 points there on the small cap index. Whereas the bank Nifty, like we were talking about, that one still seeing that bit of pressure. So this one's coming with like almost 0.5% of losses that it saw in early trade, or an opening bell close to 200 points there. But 49,600 levels is where the bank Nifty is also trading. Let's look at what are the components that are making it to the gainers and losers list then today, and which are the pain points rather that we're seeing hurt the market. But first up, the top gainers on your screen. ONGC, they're very quietly nice, 3.5% more of gains for ONGC. So for NTPC, about 1.5% of gains coming for NTPC. M&M from the auto pack is making it to the gainers list today. So you have ONGC. There is a brokerage note too that has come out on this, which is quite powerful, which is really helping the stock there. Power Grid also among your gainers, and so is Coal India. So you have a whole host of big PSU names there which are making it to the gainers list. So is Divi's Lab from the pharma pack that is among your gainers. L&T, Eicher Motors as well as Adani Port are also making it on the gainers list today. So interesting to see a couple of auto names there from Eicher Motors as well as M&M among your top gainers, whereas a whole host of PSU from Coal India to NTPC and the likes making it to the top gainers. Whereas on the flip side, let's also look at who are among your laggards in trade, because that is interesting to see what's really playing out. And you have a whole host of those stocks that are making it to newer highs and newer lows each and every day. And one of these that I'm going to be talking about specifically today, and what we've seen quite a bit of interest build up in, is the fact that a whole host of shares from the state of Andhra Pradesh have really surged and been surging for 4 consecutive sessions, right from after the election outcome. For them it was an assembly as well as the Lok Sabha elections that they were reacting to. So you have stocks like KCP, which has surged nearly 50% in the last 4 session. Amara Raja Batteries, that one gaining about 32%. You have Andhra Sugars, which has advanced about 21%. Avanti Feeds 28%. Laurus Labs, all of this gaining more than 10%. Quite interestingly, you also have Heritage Foods, which is quite an interesting pick, because yesterday it did touch its 52-week high. And remember, one of its stakeholders, the key stakeholder, is Nara Bhuvaneshwari. She's the wife of the CM-elect, and the promoters hold somewhere around 41.30% stake in the company. So it will be interesting to see. There was, of course, a bulk deal too in Heritage Foods that we saw take place yesterday, about 319.60 crore rupees worth of shares that exchanged hands. That is 44 lakh shares, or close to 4.8% stake in the company, that was executed at an average price of about 725. Interestingly, let me quickly bring Aamar back on board and ask him his view on Heritage Foods specifically, because we're talking about that right now. Yesterday it touched at 52-week high, but are there any entry points at this place, and how are the other technicals looking for this particular counter?
As you rightly said, that this stock has taken off significantly over the last few trading sessions. Once it breached the 360, 370 mark, and also if we go back, so on 30th of May, the stock had witnessed significant volumes and delivery quantity vis-a-vis the average over the last maybe 100 trading sessions. So that tells me that the markets were expecting some sort of positive development in the stock, and the stock has almost doubled from the levels. But chasing a stock after such a sharp rally, I don't think that's ever a good idea, because one might really catch the end of the trend. So rather, yes, on consolidation, on a pullback towards 580, 600 levels, that could be a level for fresh re-entry. But one should need to remember that when a stock moves with such increased volatility, you generally tend to see highly volatile swings. So you have to be prepared for that as well.
Right, so be prepared for those volatile swings. It has seen that run up, just in those last few sessions. So you may want to take that with caution, or really catch it, while it is there. But another stock that will be in focus, and that I would want Aamar to give us, a view on, is that of Suzlon. Of course, there are so many queries that have come in on this particular counter as well. Now, yesterday we saw that stock fall by about 5%. This after an independent director, Mark Desaguilar, has resigned from the dictatorship of the company, and he's not just resigned simply, he has raised concerns over corporate governance standards at the company, and he said that that was something that bothered him, and which is why he was stepping down as a director. Now, if you look at the charts, that one of course did get a drubbing yesterday, but overall, how does Suzlon look? Aamar, we've seen quite a good run up. That one, if you have to compare it to the price levels, at least have given some decent returns, but with these corporate governance issues really showing up, is there reason to worry of what we've really seen in the past happen with Suzlon as well?
See, any such statement coming from a person who's been there has to be taken with some I would say, some caution, definitely. And having said that, if you look at Suzlon on the long-term charts, Long-term chart trend is positive, but intermediate term trend, we are seeing a top being formed in the stock. So I would say don't be in a hurry to enter the stock at the current levels. Ideally, the stock, if it witnesses some significant correction, maybe that could be a buying opportunity somewhere anywhere between 40, 40, 40, 44 levels. That could be a 40, 42 levels ideally could be a level for fresh entry, but not at the current levels, because till the time we don't see the stock now consistently sustaining above the 52 levels, I would say it could be in for consolidation.
Right, so we could expect more consolidation there, at least for Suzlon, and you'd have to really pay attention to what really comes out from the management as and when they do put out. But let me also bring on board Hemant Sood. He's the managing director at Findoc. Well, good morning, Hemant, and good to have you with us on our show here at Moneycontrol. Hemant, let me first quickly ask you, now that we have portfolios, already allocated, the government seems to want to continue its policy and its outlook that they've put forth so far. What kind of investment ideas are you suggesting, at least in these, till we see the first 100 days of this government? What would be those that you have on your radar?
I think I will recommend three sectors primarily. First is defense. So number one on my list is defense. So I think in last 3-4 years, the defense has grown by closely. Exports has grown by 334% to be exact. And I expect, and there's a 13%. From the budget is allocated to the defense, and since made in India policy and a push on defense, and since the government is same and stable, I expect more push on defense. So number one sector in my list is defense, and the other second sector is financial service space, banking, and maybe NBFCs. Since I believe in the consumption theory, and so I believe these sectors will do well. And obviously infra and capital goods. Infrastructure, I believe, since Nitin Gadkari is still at the helm of the road transport, I believe lots and lots of highways, bridges will be built. So I believe the infra companies can do well. And last but not the least, I'll also recommend clean energy companies. So I think India will like to reduce the current account deficit. Because in every $10 upwards, the fiscal deficits go up by 0.5%, and India is focusing to decrease their current account deficit. So the clean energy, renewable energies company, I think this sector will be the new sunrise sector of this next year. Next couple.
Yeah, there is a lot of buzz about how the renewable energy sector is, going to be that sunrise sector like you're mentioning. And of course, now it has a new minister that is going to be holding a portfolio just for renewable energies, in fact. But speaking about, you did brush upon FMCG and the consumer basket. Now, that is quite interesting, because in this whole, on June 4th, when we saw that down and about drubbing for the markets, the one pack that was holding out was FMCG, and post that you've seen whole host of brokerages that have come out and given thumbs up to the likes of an HUL or a Nestle and the others. But how much are you betting on the consumption story? Do you think rural recovery is now something that we can actually be betting on, and we are likely to see higher volume growth when it comes to these FMCG companies?
I think I think the FMCG sector will be stable, but I also believe that the stability is already priced in. The FMCG sector has been doing well, and it's already been priced in. It will be stable. It will give you decent returns. But I don't believe now the FMCG sector to be a sunrise sector. I don't believe this sector to be a multi-bagger sector. But I believe in a consumption story. I believe that rural recovery. I believe that these things will do well. Do well. And I also believe there's a little bit of increased savings pool which is happening in India. Due to the new people are now more and more investing. I meet every day new investors every day. So there's also push on a savings also. So consumer goods company, I'm not very keen on. I mean electronics and consumer goods, because the push on the savings has gone up.
Right.
But FMCG I think will give you decent returns, but I will not have that in my portfolio, at least, because I believe in multi-bagger returns.
Right. So you're staying away from FMCG. That's more of a longer term view when you look at these stocks from long-term investment perspective is when FMCG actually manages to show you some results, and perhaps those who hold ITC can really vouch for that if you have to. But let me quickly get a couple of queries answered by Aamar, then those coming in on our live feed. Aamar, there is one that I'm going to ask you from Vibhash Kumar. He wants to know your view on Aditya Birla Capital. Now that one also has been quite interesting of what we've seen, that has been in the F&O ban list for some time, in last month or so. But how is that looking? And also the NBFC space, quite interesting to be looking at. What are the charts otherwise saying for Aditya Birla Capital?
Yeah, if I look at Aditya Birla Capital, somewhere or the other, we are seeing some sort of consolidation happening. However, the long-term trend for the stock remains strong and positive. So this is a stock which one can buy on correction, not at the current levels, because the stock seems to have run into very strong wall of resistance anywhere between 240 to 250 zone. So that's a zone of resistance for the stock. So till the time the stock really doesn't take out the 240 to 50 zone, it could witness for some consolidation, and it could trade in a range of 200 to 250. So that's a range that one needs to look at. However, the long-term trend, intermediate-term trend for the stock remains positive.
Right. So look for a dip or a correction and then get into Aditya Birla Finance. Another one, quickly, let's answer Ankit Bajaj's query. He wants to know your view on rate gain and what does that chart really show? What are the technicals saying for rate gain?
So if I look at rate gain, the stock has, I would say, formed strong base somewhere around the 650 levels, and currently it's around 740 or so. So the trend is positive for the stock. The stock needs to sustain above the 750 level. That's a very important zone of resistance, because sustaining above the 750 level, then we could witness a stock rally, because the next zone of resistance comes around the 800 level. So then you can expect anywhere between 6 to 8% upside rally in the stock once it sustains at the 750 level. Overall, you can say a base seems to have formed for the stock, and the stock has got very crucial support around the 650, 660 zone.
Interesting. Well, let's also look at this brokerage note that has come out from CLSA on oil and gas companies. Now, they say that the spot LNG prices are surging, and the surge in the price is likely to have a positive rub-off effect on stocks like that of GAIL, GSPL, as well as PLNG. Now, CNG sales, though, they say have slowed down, especially in a state like Delhi. They've seen a slowing down in the month of May, whereas Mumbai, Gujarat, they continue to see uptrends in CNG sales, whereas the uptrend in CNG sales in Mumbai and Gujarat, that does bode well for companies like Mahanagar Gas as well as Gujarat Gas. The lower propane prices vis-a-vis the uptick in spot LNG may limit that upside for something like a Gujarat Gas's margins. They also believe that Gujarat Gas's margins are trading at an extreme valuations, and that that they are making an expectation of a huge industrial volume rebound because of this. Now, what they continue to prefer among these stocks is MGL, IGL, and that whole gas space. Aamar, quickly to you, we've been seeing quite interesting news coming out from this whole oil and gas space as well. The fact that there are rumors that maybe this new government would want to, include natural gas under GST as well, has been something that brokerages have come and also said that it would be good and beneficial for the sector. How are you looking at something the likes of MGL and IGL? Do they the charts really show something that one could see interest in?
So if you look at some of these stocks, overall, see what we are witnessing here is more or less it's a range play in these particular stocks. So if we talk about IGL on the upside, 480, 500, that's a zone of resistance. On the downside, 420, 430 is a zone of support. So there's no trend per se in this particular stock. And looking at the other, which you mentioned, Mahanagar Gas Limited, again, it is displaying a similar sort of momentum there as well. So on the upside, resistance would be around 1500 level, support is somewhere around the 1300 level. So, but it's very good for trading perspective. So any pullback to these levels is a buying opportunity on the upside till the time we don't see MGL sustaining of the 1500 mark. it could witness consolidation, but the bias is definitely in favor of the bulls.
Right. So bias in favor of the bulls. MGL does look interesting, and especially all this news definitely favoring that particular stock, and that we are perhaps seeing some bit of profit booking on that counter today because it has seen quite a good run up so far. Well, let's also look at the OMC space. Now, there is a Jeffries note that has come out on ONGC. They have a buy call on it with a target of 390 per share. They say that policy continuity will keep the profitability elevated compared to the past averages. The recent correction in the stock also seems to have overdone now, and the recent correction perhaps provides that attractive entry point for investors to be looking up. The ramp up in the KG basin production as well as the accretion of profitability will be the key triggers. Maybe I'll go back to Mr. Sood and ask him what his view is on ONGC as well as the other OMC stocks. Do you think you find any interest in this space, and particularly ONGC, do you think there is reason to buy?
I'm not the great fan of OMCs at this moment. The crude is all-time high, and the government will try to control the inflation that can affect the margins of the OMC. Or not all-time high, but like in a high zone. So I know they are doing well. They know the policies, like the government is managing them very, very effectively. But again, I am not keen on the OMC stocks.
Right, so not so much interest
because it is in a more of a regulatory consumer-friendly inflation control stocks.
Right.
And here then there's a lot of government, guidance, intervention, whatever you may can call it. I believe these stocks are like more of a FD stocks. They can't go very bad, they can't go very good. These stocks are not in my portfolios.
Right, so OMCs are more like an FD is what Mr. Sood is saying. Well, let's also get a couple more queries answered. Then Amar, back to you. Ashwin is asking your view on Trident. Now, how is one to be looking at this particular stock? Is there anything interesting that is happening in this counter?
So I would say this is one stock which is in a downtrend, and it seems to have formed some base around the current levels. But I would say don't read much into it till the time we see the stock sustaining above the 40-42 level. Then you can expect some up move. Otherwise, I would say higher levels would be sold into. Downside, yes, the stock has got very strong support, because if you go back in time, so in October 23, the stock had made a base of around 32 levels. Recently, also the stock has made a base of 33 levels. So 30, 32, 33, that's a very strong support zone for the stock. But if you ask me, technically on the charts, the stock is in a downtrend. Yes, forming some base, but till the time we don't see a trend change, rather wait and watch.
Right, so wait and watch call, they're coming in for Trident. But another query then we'll quickly get answered. Alex wants to know your view on Zee, and if the base is intact. Now, what would we say about Zee? Because that one again has been in that F&O ban list also for quite some time. But in the cash market, how's it trading, and what could be the points that we could, factor in or help Alex there out on what the charts are saying about Zee?
See, if you look at Zee again, Zee has been a wealth destroyer, one of those stocks which have been in that category. The stock seems to have formed a very strong base at the lower levels. The stock did make a low of almost 125. Currently, it's trading higher towards 165 odd levels, but it's already moved up. So I would say higher levels are going to be met with resistance. So somewhere around 174, 75. That should act as a very strong resistance zone. If you ask me, technically on the charts at long-term trend, intermediate term trend, they are still negative. So the stock could go in for consolidation, because the stock has witnessed a significant correction from almost 300 levels to currently trade around 165. So the stock is still trading 50% at 50% discount to its highs it had witnessed earlier. So I would say rather you need to be cautious entering at the current levels.
Right, so be cautious at the current level. perhaps not that entry point that you would be otherwise looking for when it comes to Zee. Mr. Sood, back to you then. Now, there are a couple of interesting facts that we are sitting with. Portfolios are now out of the way. We are also seeing today the FOMC or the Fed rate decision, which is pretty much now being said that, we could be discounting any kind of rate cut at least anytime soon. So that one also out. But we did see IT stocks yesterday, be among the biggest laggards. 4 out of the 5 top Nifty losers yesterday were from your IT pack. Do you think there is a turnaround story at least for IT anytime, or can this be that contra play that one could bet on in FY25?
I will not bet against the IT. I think there's a lot of digital transformation happening, and I believe that India has the second highest number of AI engineers in the world, and AI and digital transformation is our next big growth areas. So I will particularly not bet against the IT stocks. So I will not play that counter story. I still believe that the digital transformation story is AI story is a favorable IT stories, and I will not bet against them.
Right. So in your ideal portfolio mix, what would be the kind of stocks that you would want, and the sectors that you perhaps think would be the ones promising those kind of returns this time around? What would your portfolio mix be, it from the large cap as well as the small and mid cap, because that's where we're actually seeing better returns, at least from the broader indices at this point?
So I can tell you about the sectors, not about the particular stocks, because we may have other positions in our company because we do mostly on a technical. But the sectors I like is, number one on the sector I like is defense. Then I like banking and NBFC space, infra, and I also like the IT sector because I believe in a digital transformation story. These 4 sectors I like.
Right, interesting picks there. Aamar, to you, do you have any recommendations for our viewers before we let you both go? Anything that is on your radar that you want to recommend to our viewers?
Yeah, I would say Ramco Cements is one stock one can definitely look at. The stock has bounced back significantly from the recent lows and is now moving in an upward trajectory. So this is one stock one can definitely look at, sustaining over the current levels. The stock has the potential to rally towards 950, 960 level. So this is one stock one can keep a close watch on. The stock has got now a strong support coming below the 820 levels.
Well, so Ramco Cement is what Aamar Deo Singh is recommending to our viewers today. Well, with that, it's a wrap and a goodbye from the entire team that puts this together. Let me thank both my guests, Aamar Deo Singh as well as Hemant Sood, for giving us your time and speaking to us, helping us with our queries, as well as giving us an understanding of how one should be trading this kind of market. So thank you both for giving us your time. But to all our viewers also who log in every morning, thank you so much for watching. Do post us your feedback in the comment section below, and also follow us in the link at the bottom of your screen. And let me remind all our viewers, keep sending us your queries on our live feed, and we try and have our experts answer them. So we'll always look forward to having your queries answered. But for rest of your other updates, stay tuned to moneycontrol.com as well as the Money Control app.